Hi, Yijao Martins, licensed marriage and family therapist, couple therapist. Let's continue with our conversation on discerning in ADHD-affected relationships. So today I want to give you three scenarios where I find challenging or the couples I work with are in discerning or struggling with. The first one, I call it black and white thinking. The second one, I call it flipping within a day. The third one, I call it triangulation with friends or therapists sometimes. So let's start with the first one, black and white thinking. Let me give an example of a couple. Let's say it's a heterosexual relationship. The male partner's name is Max. The female partner's name is Olivia. So they're in discernment counseling with me. On the individual session, Max indicated that he has about 60% out, which means 60% of him wanted to leave the relationship that feels burnout, hopeless, and helpless, and doesn't want to invest anymore. The other 40% is still have hope and want to do whatever it takes, money, time, energy, discomfort, growth to make this work. So that's a 60%, 40% ratio. And then when I check in with Olivia in individual sessions, first she indicates that she is 100% in. She's 100% devoted to the relationship, whatever it takes, that she will make it work. And then when I questioned what happens if you know your partner is not 100% in, like you are, does it make a difference for you? How do you feel about devoting all your time and energy to try to make a relationship work when your partner is not 100% devoted? And then she switched to 100% out. She said, well, if he's not 100% in with me, like me, then I don't want the relationship anymore. I want to be out. I don't want to try anymore. So for her, is there either 100% in or 100% out? There's no middle ground. There is no gray area. It's all black or white, right? That's why I call it black or white thinking. This is a very difficult situation to work with, as when one cannot look at the complexity of their own psyche and their the fluidity of their thinking and their shifting within themselves. It's very hard to be honest and to present that part of them want to leave or the part of them wanting to stay with their partner and explore and connect together. So that is the black and white thinking. So the second one is called flipping within a day, just like the name sounds. So the example I'll give you, say, Tatiana. Tatiana is in discernment. And she's in a relationship with her partner who is on this end of the spectrum of ADHD. That means that he has more ADHD symptoms, which makes it very stressful for Tatiana to have transitions with children in the morning, sending the kids to school, and she struggles working alone while her partner doesn't have the capacity to help her, or their system doesn't have enough rapport to make it work and support each other. So in the morning, she had another morning like that, and then she had 80% out, saying, I want to leave, and it will be a lot easier actually if I just by myself parent instead of my partner not only not helping but also creating more chaos for me. So but throughout the end of the day, she either worked or she worked out and she felt a little bit better and she gets some food into her body. And then at the end of the day, when she sees her partner playing with the kids, tossing balls, chasing each other, laughing and giggling and rolling around, roughhousing, she really cherished this family moment. And she started to think about if they separate and they live in separate households, and she only gets to see the kids half of the time probably, and how sad that she will feel, and she does not want to give up any moment with the children. So her leading out part reduced to 20% because she wanted to preserve the family union physically as much as possible. So this is very normal, right? Just one example of the individual in the relationship switching and flipping within a day, 24 hours. And sometimes that make people feel like they're crazy. They can't make a decision. They keep flipping in their decisions. And, it's a whole range of from 0% to 100%, right? And then they think that, well, I will never be able to make a decision if I'm so indecisive. And they're not seeing that it's so human and normal to have those aspects of them, of their psyche, that want different things. And it's a very complicated situation, especially when you have children involved. So that's number two, flipping within a day. The third one is, I call it triangulation with friends, families, or sometimes therapists. Let me give you an example of therapists got triangulated. So here's a couple, and they're fighting a lot. That's what we call hostile dependent couple that really externalize their aggressions, and they're so used to that pattern that they keep doing the dance. So, of course, one partner goes to their therapist, talk about the fight and the conflict, and the individual therapist was very concerned and tell the client, this is an unsafe situation. Are you sure you want to be in a relationship like this, and see how you're drained and your nervous system is really wrecked by this relationship? So in some way, siding with the part of the client that's leaning out, want to leave the relationship. And let's say the other partner has a friend that has a part believe that no matter what, you should stick together and work things out, and give counsel to their friend, and really align with the part, the leaning in part of this partner in the relationship. So now, next thing you know, not only each partner has two parts, and they're also the friends and family and therapists come and join different parts of the members of the family, and that really become a parts fight, right? A lot of parts get involved. So it gets messy and it gets stressful, and friends and family, even therapists, feel drained, pulling into the drama, which is actually not quite helpful for the couple to make decisions. So, advice. I really don't like to give advices, but I understand a lot of people watching the video wanted to get some tips and advice and from presumed authority. I just have a little bit more experience in discerning and working with relationships. So I can share with you what I find helpful for me and my clients. Also, I have three of them. Number one is to have alone time, because each of our system has so many aspects and many voices. We really want some alone quiet time to listen to all of them and maybe write them down, chart them, draw them, whatever is your method to have clarity with who they are and what they're trying to tell you. And it really give you messages about your values. So if you are a parent really value physical togetherness with your family 100% of the time, you may think separation is not a good idea. And if that is a huge part of your psyche, then you may go for that and leaning more towards leaning in. Even the relationship is challenging, you're more willing to work on that than just throw the towel, right? So the second one is to categorize them. Just like I said, there's a leaning in, there's a leaning out. You can put them into two categories. You can do the plus or minus sign, right? Whatever method that work for you, and list all of them on each side, and then spend some time with each of them, just that part alone, to hear them fully. Sometimes it helps to do that with a friend or a professional, and sometimes you may want to do it alone so you can understand, oh, when I wanted the kids to stay with the family, physically, that's a leaning in part speaking. And when I think about how our conflicts exposed to the children having negative impact on their well-being, that's a leaning out part. So you start to label them, categorize them so they're more clear instead of they all mingled, blended together and make you feel like you're crazy. So that's number two. It's actually an unblending process. Number three is to set boundaries and give guidance for your friends, families, and therapists on how to support you in this process. What I always like to say is, before I start talking, I said, I will only like you to listen to me and reflect back what I say. I don't want you to give me advice or take sides in the next 10 minutes, for example. So you keep other people's parts out of your system. Within your system, there's already two parts leaning in and out, and your partner has a leaning in and out, right? Ideally, you can regroup them together. You can join each other on leaning in, leaning out part, so you can build that connection. But if you can't, you don't really want other people's parts, right, and their projections adding to your system, which is already pretty messy and chaotic at this point. You want someone who has a neutral self observing ego to hold a container for you to explore those two parts, not to add their part to your own dynamic, right? So you want people who have very good boundaries and very centered and neutral to support you. If you can't have that, sometimes it may be better just you write it down yourself. So you don't pull people in to triangulate, add to the drama. I hope that helps. Let me know what you think, how you feel, and if that's applicable or not. And I know it's very challenging. Sometimes a strong container will be very helpful. But let's stop here for our series on discernment in ADHD affected relationships. Till next week. Bye bye.